All right, welcome, ladies, to our 8-week series on Monday nights. And tonight we're talking about hormones. But before we do that, my favorite part of our classes is when we share what wins you've had this week, what's been working for you, product-wise or so forth. Sharon, it's the same link from last week.
It's this. Oh, so if you just go to the link from last week, Linda, that's all you have to do.
All right, anybody have a product share?
Maybe I don't have it.
All right, so I was sharing earlier that on the back of my knee, I got this big red, sore, hot spot. And right in the middle of it is this white pimple-looking thing. And so I was asking my doctor son and husband, do you think this is a brown recluse? And they said, well, it could very well be. So make sure you don't disturb it. It's going to go away. But I put Purify on it. Purify is a blend for poison. And I've used it before. I've used Purify for black widow spite for my kids. And I've used it for scorpion bites. And now I'm using it for my brown recluse bite. And it's going away, which is making me really happy because it's very painful. So yay, win for the Purify blend.
Purify is great.
Holly, can you use that in water too, just like the lemon oil? Or like my husband, I think he had natural gas poisoning. He was doing a job at a natural gas place and he somehow got a big whiff of it and he's just been feeling really sick to his stomach for several days. So I had him drink clay water, but I don't have purify oil. I didn't think of lemon oil, but can you put purify in water like lemon oil?
It's not recommended for internal use. It's recommended for topical use, but it would definitely be a good one for deep inhalation if he's having respiratory issues. I would have him do that. I'm not sure what kind of symptoms he was having, but if he's having toxicity in the lungs, I actually got black mold years ago after I got started with doTERRA, though, from a house I was remodeling, and I could feel it. I could feel it growing in my lungs, right? Because I didn't realize it was there. I inhaled the spores. And so I started doing the tent, like you put it in the warm water in the tent. I started doing that with oregano and melaleuca and Purify and breathe oil. And within probably 24 hours, it was gone. So I firmly believe if you catch it soon enough, right, and you do it consistently, they're going to make a big difference for it. The other thing that I had this week, and I don't remember if I told you last week because it was kind of started last week, is last week, 2 weeks ago, when I had a big upper respiratory that I caught somewhere, I lost my sense of smell and taste. I could breathe, I could feel temperature, but I couldn't smell or taste, which I've never experienced that before, but it was kind of interesting. So I immediately started sniffing all the nerve oils. And within 3 days, I could start smelling a few things. And within the week, my smell and everything came completely back, which is bad because now I can smell the stinky stuff too. But it's good because I can actually taste my food.
Right.
So
way more important.
Which ones were the nerve oils that you smelled, Holly?
So I jumped right into geranium, lemongrass. I took a picture of them because my daughter-in-law was asking me the same question. Her mother is having, she still doesn't have a sense of smell. Copaiba, peppermint. So geranium, lemongrass, copaiba, peppermint, basil, Roman chamomile.
All of those?
Yeah, because I put them all in a line and I just sniffed.
Oh,
Now there's others, but these are the ones I chose because you could use clove oil, I think was one of them. Rose oil is another one. But I sniffed those and then I dropped frankincense and DDR prime under my tongue. So I don't know exactly which one I did, but I hit them all because I can.
So all you had to do was sniff them?
Sniff them.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that it's been about a year since I've had COVID. Actually just a few more days, it'll be a year since I had COVID, and I had my sense of smell that was pretty much gone until I started with this whole doTERRA thing last part of June, first part of July, and my smell has come back. I didn't really do anything particular. I just started using oils. I just started diffusing and using. Ooh, what a phrase that is, huh? Diffusing and using.
Susie.
That's about as good as rub it, eat it, and sniff it, right? The three things you can do with oil: sniff it, rub it, and eat it. So yeah, it's just really incredible how it has come back. Even bathroom smells hadn't come back, but yeah, you know.
yeah.
Okay. Did you get the link to Linda? Sharon,
Pardon?
did you get the link to Linda?
Linda, can you get on yet? I'm trying. She's trying.
Okay, so she has the
She is
information.
on speaker and can hear us.
Okay, cool. All right, any other
Okay.
wins before I jump into our topic?
No, I've been very diligent doing my advantage middle of the day. So
Awesome.
I always experience if I don't do it, I'm like, oh, I forgot to do my advantage. So I'm doing it.
Good.
Yeah, it's good
And
stuff.
I was grateful that I was in Denver until yesterday. Got the snivels, but so I had my flu bomb oils with me. So I was grateful that I was able to make my concoction up and taking them and sniffing on my new eucalyptus. And yeah, it was helpful having everything that you need. Fancy that.
That's
Wendy,
called be prepared.
Yes.
can you type in your concoction in the chat?
I can do. It's nothing fancy. I'm sure everybody else has heard it, but I will do that for you, dear.
Well, some of us are still learning, so thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that flu bomb with people. Okay.
Glow bomb? Oh, yeah. We used that for years.
All right. So tonight's topic is women's health and hormones. I changed it up from just the happiness hormones because is Rita still on?
Happiness.
Who's that?
Oli.
Yes, happiness.
Happiness. What? Hormones.
Well, yeah. So I do a class just called Happiness Hormones. But I decided to use this PowerPoint because it goes more into depth of understanding hormones.
Mhm.
And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But these are a great understanding of how hormones work. So, oops. Can anyone relate to this?
Mm. Cute.
Are we a little bipolar sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? One time we're like, ah, the other time, oh, please, oh, you know, I'm so sad. So our emotions are hormones. And that's
Yep.
why people are always talking about you're so hormonal, right? You're out of balance. Well, what does that really mean?
Mm.
Unfortunately, we have spent way too much money on this topic and healthcare in general. And are we healthier? Are we more in balance?
Nope.
Are we getting rid of all the emotional stress? Or is it just getting worse and worse for most people?
Mm-mm.
It continues to get worse and worse, right?
For most people, yes.
For most people, yes. And so this is a really sad state because our society is dealing with a lot of stress, and yet they go to the chemistry that ends up creating more stress in their body and they don't even know it. So let's talk real quick about hormones. We have to talk about the endocrine system. This is the body's messenger system. And we've talked about how each gland that creates or secretes a hormone through the blood then goes to another gland or organ to stimulate it. And then that gland or organ sends another hormone back to the control center, which is usually the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, and tells them, look, we're done, shut it off. So most human beings are aware of what some of their hormones are. They're going to be a little bit different in ratio for males and females, but we each have the same hormone needs or hormone chemistry. So understanding the body and how this works is really important because we want to know when we talk about, so somebody name a hormone. What is a name of a hormone? There's about 50 of them, so you should pick one.
Estrogen,
Thyroid.
testosterone, progesterone,
Let's see. Yeah.
thyroxine, insulin.
right. Oh, there you go. Okay, so the number one hormone that most people talk about is usually estrogen or progesterone because that's what women understand. But do you know that the busiest hormone in our body is insulin?
Mm.
And insulin is created by the pancreas, and it is a part of almost every bodily function we have.
Insulin.
It regulates so many different things because it helps change our blood sugars or stores our blood sugars and needs to have stimulation and conversion through the liver. So we have insulin, we have estrogen, we have testosterone, we have melatonin, we have serotonin, oxytocin, lots of different hormones that are just messengers from one part of the body to the next. And so when we have a symptom that is based on a hormonal diagnosis, you might have something like hypothyroidism, right? How many people do you know who have thyroid issues? A lot, right? So if you have a
Yes.
hypo,
Yes.
that means what?
Low.
It's low. If you have hyperthyroid, that means it's too high, right? So let's talk about estrogen for a second. Why would it be a problem if we didn't have enough estrogen? What are some symptoms of low estrogen? If you watch the video I sent, he goes over these really well. Low estrogen are going to give us symptoms such as
Depression.
depression, skin aging,
Low estrogen?
low estrogen.
Is that when you get more hair in your face if you're a woman? Or is that
Usually
high
that's usually high testosterone. It's a stimulant from the male hormone, but yeah, they're very related. But low estrogen means infertile. right? They can't you can't ovulate properly. You're not going to be able to and how many young women are having fertility issues?
Yep.
Um,
More than ever.
yeah, more than there's actually a decline of population if you didn't know, which is interesting. It's never happened before. But if you look at each of these hormones and you look at the symptoms of if they have too much or too little, then it starts to cover a wide range of issues people are dealing with. So here are some of just a few signs if you are having a hormonal imbalance. Do anybody relate to these?
Mm.
Yep.
All of the above.
No.
Okay, at some point or other, whether you have them right now, we've probably experienced them at some point, right? And so understanding why these different symptoms come to us is really, really important for us to find a solution for them. And here's the important part. Right now, what is the number one solution that women are turning to? It's on your screen, right? They're turning to synthetic replacement for that hormone instead of supporting the gland and helping the endocrine system function properly. What is the solution for most people? They take a
Premarin.
synthetic version of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're taking synthetic thyroid medicine, synthetic thyroid. We're taking hormones as an estrogen and progesterone and testosterone because we're low. So instead of supporting the bodily function, we're actually depleting it more and more by offering the body a synthetic hormone. And it slows down the healing process of the endocrine system. And that creates the long-term chronic issues that we have. So, such as increased risk of cardiovascular, strokes, cancers, right? What is the number one breast cancer diagnosis? Estrogen dominant. That means that the body is recognizing estrogen that is synthetic. You're high in its synthetic estrogens, and it's creating a dominance when reality is your real estrogen that's helping with the bodily functions is actually really low. So the mimicked estrogens that come from pesticides, plastics, all these things are creating a false positive test. Because our hormones and the glands that create our hormones are extremely sensitive to their environment. But yet we continue to pour on the perfumes, the air fresheners, the candles, the cleaning materials, just a ton of stuff, right?
Is all hormone replacement therapy synthetic?
That's a really good question for your doctor. I'm not a pharmacologist. I know that most people do not have good long-term effects using HRT. But I do know that there are some natural thyroid, like Armor, they make a natural thyroid supplement. So when you need one, and there are times when you need them because you can't function, right? That would be a really good question to ask your doctor and your pharmacist. They have small pharmacies that are really good. I would look for a small local pharmacy who actually mixes it in-house instead of like going to Walgreens or Walmart. Yeah. So this is just kind of not funny, but funny. hey, good news, HRT only causes stroke and breast cancer, so it's a miracle drug. Yay.
And why did you use horse pictures?
Oh, that was somebody else's. They just gave it
Yeah,
to me.
that's because Premarin comes from horse urine.
Oh, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't even know that from the Premarin farm.
Yeah, that's why they did that.
Okay, well, there is another way to support the body functions without having to create a long-term chronic issue. So, as you all know, essential oils are a powerful way to support bodily functions. They are the natural aromatic compounds found in plants. They can be found in the roots, seeds, stems, barks, leaves, flowers, and are distilled or cold compressed through an extraction process for our health benefits. They are 50 to 70 times more powerful than a dry herb because the dry herbs have lost their aromatic compounds, right? When you dehydrate them or you dry them, that liquid that makes it smell good, the essential oil, is evaporated or leaves the majority of it leaves the plant. So when we have the pure plant essence or the essential oil from the plant, whether it's lemon, manuka, peppermint, lavender, it is going to contain those unique compounds, the chemistry that is going to offer our body systems the support it needs. And our bodies do not resist or develop a resistance to the essential oils. When we have an allergy or we have a reluctance to something, it's because we have offered our bodies something it doesn't recognize, and it starts to say no thank you and create an allergen or an antihistamine towards it. So have you ever met somebody who says, I can't use lavender, I'm allergic to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you say, have you ever used a pure lavender like doTERRA? And they're like, oh, they're all the same. Well, actually, they're not. So let me show you why. This is a picture of a peppermint leaf, and on it is a little drop of essential oil. Oops, you can't see it. Where did it go? The picture got bigger. There it is. So when you zoom in onto these plants, these little sacks of oil, they get broken when you break up the leaves or you chew them or you scratch the rind. And so these are the aromatic compounds that we are harvesting from the pure, beyond organic plants around the world to make our best effort to support the body system. This is one example of peppermint, and there's so many benefits. There's at least 5 benefits at the same time of using peppermint. Can some of you name at least 5 things that peppermint can do?
Headaches, hot flashes, energy, fevers, breath refresher, and nausea.
I love it when people
I'm really
use their
smart, huh?
resources.
Yeah. I wouldn't have had that list.
So
I just used some of the super mint because it was right here for some energy because I was going to fall asleep on you guys, and it worked pretty good.
awesome. So energy, there you go. It's one of them. Now, tonight, we might be talking about somebody who's dealing with menopause issues, right? Or hormonal issues and having hot flashes. Peppermint is a fabulous resource for that.
Can you
So-
put peppermint in
Paula, you keep
water?
breaking up.
Can you
We're
put
not hearing
peppermint,
you.
a drop of peppermint in a cup of water?
Absolutely. Yes, Betty, you
Mhm.
can put peppermint in water and drink it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is anyone else having a hard time hearing me?
Nope.
Okay. I'll try and talk slower. Maybe it's just not picking it up as well. So we know that essential oils are oil. So water and oil don't mix, right? And so because it's an aromatic oil and our cell membranes require an oil reception, the essential oils can actually pass through the cell membrane. What makes that so cool? You can look at the picture.
It'll kill a virus.
Because it will help eliminate or suppress the viruses that the doctors say, well, we don't really have anything to give you, go home and rest, right?
Right.
Whereas bacteria and water sit on the outside, and they can usually give you an antibiotic, but it's really important that we understand how they work. So again, just a review, quality matters. There's a huge industry of essential oils now, and a majority of them are synthetic. Even the ones that are considered grass are generally regarded as safe from the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, that you can ingest or create food like a cinnamon oil to put in a flavor. They're okay to be synthetic by the FDA. They don't have to be pure. In fact, they can even say pure on the bottle and not even really be pure because they don't have to test them. But here at doTERRA, we absolutely want the purest and most effective. And so doTERRA, as you know, does several testing processes to certify that these are pure, aromatic, tested, and even therapeutic essential oils. All right, so how do we use essential oils? Somebody tell me, what are the three things?
Aromatic.
Sniff 'em,
Aromatherapy.
rub 'em, and eat 'em.
Yep.
Aromatic, good. Topically,
Inhalation.
inhaling, okay.
Inhaling.
And internally, very good.
Internally.
So AIT, aromatically, and ATI, sorry, ATI, aromatically, topically, and internally. The difference is, what do you want it to do? And how much of that essential oil do you want your body to absorb? So aromatically, you're going to absorb the least amount, but it can go directly into the brain by sniffing it, like I did my nerve oils. It can also go directly into your respiratory by inhaling it and helping your respiratory system. If you want to capture more on your body, rub it on your body, add a little bit of fractionated coconut oil to capture the aromatic compounds, and then smell it, or smell it and then rub it on your body. So you can do all three at the same time if you'd like. But most people, they start out aromatically and then they rub it on their body. Don't wash it off, just let the body absorb it, and you're going to get a lot more benefit. If you want the highest concentration, then you can internalize them by putting them in water, by putting them in capsules. So that's how we use essential oils. But let's talk about why. For hormones, we have to understand what each process deals with. So we'll start with the adrenal glands. What does the adrenal glands offer our body system?
Those are the hormones that come from the kidneys that help control your blood pressure.
So what's
I
the
can't
name of the
remember.
hormone that it produces?
I don't remember.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, very
Oh
good.
yeah.
So
There's
your
another one too.
adrenals,
Well, cortisol. There we are, cortisol.
yep,
And there's another one too that also does a lot to control your blood pressure, and I can't think of what it is.
cool. So the two things we want to talk about tonight, though, is your adrenals are your energy, right? Your adrenaline. When you think of adrenaline, what is your body doing? It's getting active, right? Just think of if you saw a spider, does your body react? Because you got input through your sight and you thought, oh my goodness, danger. This is a human response because of experiences you've had or information you've been given. And you tell yourself this story, all of a sudden becomes dangerous because they told you at some point it was dangerous. That sends a hormone from your brain down to your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands start to kick out another hormone of adrenaline or cortisol, and it says, run, right? And then as soon as you recognize that the threat is over, your adrenals send a hormone back up to the pituitary gland that says, okay, shut it off. We don't need to run anymore. But what happens if that feedback loop up to the pituitary gland doesn't communicate well? What happens to that adrenal? It gets stuck open, and you have cortisol flowing through your body constantly, which creates inflammation, which creates damage to a lot of systems. And then have you ever heard of people having adrenal fatigue?
Yes.
Because they've got stuck in that system of kicking out cortisol. So how can we help reduce the cortisol? Well, lavender is one of them. It's a well-known calming agent. Okay. So all things calming, soothing to the skin, supports your normal hormone levels and rest. But more importantly, I want to introduce you. Can you guys see this? Can you see my picture?
No,
I
I
want to
can't see it.
introduce you to resources. Okay, so you can take a little bit of notes from tonight, but I want you to recognize that you can find the solution to your own concerns by just having some resources. And one of those resources that we'll talk about at the end is this book called The Essentials of the Earth. I really like this book called The Modern Essentials, and they have an app called Modern Essentials. Aromatools.com sells them. But Modern Essentials has a great way of looking up solutions for my adrenal glands. So if I go to adrenals in my book, then I can look and say, okay, well, what is an adrenal and how can I support it? Because I know that cortisol is an issue, right? So I'm going to go to page 212. I don't know what will be in your book, but it talks about, well, here's the adrenal glands. They're two small glands that sit on top of the kidneys. They're part of their endocrine system. They help regulate blood pressure, heart rate, sweating, and goes down, and even water. It helps regulate water. And it goes down and says, okay, here's some essential oils that can support your adrenal gland. Basil, rosemary, clove oil. And then it gives you other products that are going to be foundational, such as vitamins and minerals, the lifelong vitality, and omega-3s. So this is a great resource when you can, it didn't even say lavender, but it's one of them, that you can utilize for just ideas to help people with their symptom. When they start thinking about, why do I have this symptom? What body function is it coming from? What do I need to support that body function instead of giving it a synthetic hormone replacement? Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we're not here to be doctor. We're here to help each of us find our own natural solutions by just understanding our bodies a little bit better and then having resources to naturally support those body systems. Frankincense is another wonderful essential oil. You use this for all kinds of things, but because it promotes a healthy cellular activity, it's great to use with your hormones. So when in doubt, use frankincense, right? Drop it under your tongue on a daily basis. That's what we use instead of an apple a day. We use frankincense. A drop a day is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so to minimize some of our hormone imbalances, let's just start with some real basics. Hydration is critical, because if you don't have a good flowing blood system with lots of water for plasma, it can't carry those hormonal messengers to the parts of the body that are needed. We have to hydrate. We've got to get past drinking coffees and teas and sodas and energy drinks. These are all damaging our hormonal system, our endocrine system. We've got to get really good at proper hydration. If you are really wanting that cup of coffee, I get it. There's times where I just really want something as well, but reduce it as often as you can. Make it a specialty, not the norm. Okay? Of course, you know that eating healthy is most important, and there's a lot of ways to use essential oils. But the DDR prime has been really, really helpful in supporting this process overall. How many of you are using the DDR prime? Awesome, Wendy. So this is the restore part of our liver cleanse. So when we cleanse our livers, this is the blend that we use to restore a lot of those systems that we've been cleansing. Okay, so you can see that it supports a healthy cellular apoptosis. What that means is when cells are damaged and it's time for them to regenerate, to die and grow new ones, they get stuck if they're not given the proper treatment. Why is that a problem? What happens when we have damaged cells that continue to collect? Look at the symptoms underneath here.
Not good.
We get people with ADHD. You know any hyper kids, hyper adults? We start to look older. We have a lot more diagnoses of cancer and thyroid issues and inflammation, neurological issues, neuropathy. So we've got to restore this cycle of hormone communication, and DDR prime is a great blend for that. Okay. Another great blend to help us is balance. I use this every day. I used it when I was stressing out over my 7 teenagers and thought I was going to lose my mind. And when I started using balance on an everyday basis, my problems didn't go away, but I didn't react to them like I used to. I wasn't a maniac mom anymore. I was able to then calm down, have conversations, and because I calmed down, what do you think they did?
Calm down.
Down.
They were able to have a better response. So this is a great oil to help with that hormonal emotion issues going on. Okay. So when our adrenals are creating a lot of emotional roller coasters, or our brains won't shut off because we have too much cortisol and we can't get our brains to be quiet, or we have anxiousness or anxiety and our heart's pumping a million miles an hour, we need to be able to calm those adrenals. And using a variety of these oils, and maybe if you don't have any of these, look it up in the book and find out which ones you do have and support your system with what you have, and then just collect them as you go. so you have all that you need. One of the suggestions here is to layer on lemongrass, basil, and frankincense right over the kidneys. Now, I smell these. Remember my nerve oils that I talked about? I smell these still on a regular basis just because I like the benefits of them. I don't have to put a whole drop on me. I don't have to drink them. I can literally get them into my brain and into my hormonal communication just by inhaling them on a daily basis. So the thyroid is another big gland that people are having to deal with. So adrenal fatigue is a big issue with all of the emotions and anger and things that come through there. But thyroid is a receptor of it has to go through the thyroid, a lot of these things. And we're seeing a lot more people dealing with symptoms, even if they have a regular test, they're coming up with symptoms of hypothyroidism. So some of those symptoms are dry skin, dry hair, muscle cramps, emotion roller coasters, and for a hormone for women, vaginal dryness. So there's a lot of things that are affecting us that we might not be aware of. So support your thyroid, make a roller bottle. This is what I did when I've been dealing with thyroid for 28 years now. Make a roller bottle and put clove, myrrh, frankincense, and lemongrass in it, and just rub it before you go to bed right over your thyroid. Where's your thyroid? Right there above your collarbone, right? Just wraps right around your neck, just above your collarbone. Or the other blend that I really like to use is, if I don't have this blend, is Immortelle. Immortelle is a great blend to use as well. Okay, and they suggest you do it 3 times a day. You can put it on the bottom of your feet, but I just get it on your body somewhere, somehow, as often as you can. Now, estrogen and progesterone, right? We hear a lot about these and how they affect our cycles. And we've already talked a little bit about estrogen, but progesterone, they work together. And if we don't have a good connection, then we start to see a lot of PCOS, right? The polycystic issues. A lot of these young girls who are having fertility issues, a lot of the heavy bleeding or irregular cycles. So these are really important to a female's body. And when we don't have a good support of those hormones, we feel tired all the time, right? We can't sleep. We have insomnia. Our brains feel foggy. It starts to affect our bone health and our heart health, and we gain weight. It's an issue that a lot of us are dealing with when we have these hormonal imbalances. So how do we understand it? Well, the problem with estrogen is that, as we talked about earlier, there are so many chemicals out in our environment today that mimic an estrogen. We call them a synthetic estrogen. What we really need are phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens. So in order to eliminate the synthetic estrogens, we have to clean up our receptor sites with lemon oil. That's going to help break it up. Flaxseed, fiber. We've got to have these fermented foods. We've got to have these in our diet and in our system on a regular basis to keep those plastics that we can't avoid away. from our receptor sites of our cells. But of course, in the meantime, we're still trying to minimize the plastics that we're using, right? So don't ever drink out of plastic water bottles if you can help it. Try and use glass. Don't ever microwave plastic in your microwave. Try to use glass, or don't use a microwave at all, which is even better, right? Just so many things that these conveniences of life have led us to is creating a huge problem in our hormone challenges. So what are xenoestrogens? This is the synthetic estrogen, that this is the technical name, a xenoestrogen that is man-made. It is a potent endocrine disruptor. You've heard that phrase before? Because we're talking about the endocrine system, right? All these glands that have to communicate, and they disrupt this communication process. These are xenoestrogens, and they're found in all kinds of products that we are using because they help preserve things. They help enhance things. So we're trying really hard to eliminate those kind of things in our makeup, our lotions, our plastic containers, or even our contraceptives, right? These poor girls. I remember going on birth control when I was engaged, and I felt terrible. I could tell, and I was mean. And I'm like, oh, honey, I am so sorry, but I literally can't, I don't feel like I can even control myself. And I didn't know what was happening, but yet I didn't want to get pregnant. So I thought this is my only option. And it destroyed me for probably a good 5 years before I said, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. If you want a happy wife, you better not put me on birth control, because they were messing me up. And that was the beginning of my long journey that I didn't realize that I was on. And looking back now, I wish I would have made some other choices, because it really messed up my hormones, and not in a good way. So just think about what we're doing and what we can eliminate through our choices, okay? So phytoestrogens, what are they? Well, these are plant-based estrogens, and they are supportive of our normal hormone functions. They contain no actual estrogen. Rather, they support the glands that are creating the estrogen, the natural estrogen. They protect the tissues from the effects of xenoestrogens and other hormonal pollutants. And they are the precursors that the body can produce when it's needed to create the proper amount of estrogen for our body systems. So we're not replacing estrogen, we're supporting the estrogen system. The glands that are creating the estrogen, the ovaries, even the adrenals have a little bit of play in that as well. So the phytoestrogens come in plant form, and you get a lot of those in beans. So you can just look up in our book, some of the foods, or go on YouTube. People talk about them all the time, but just write down phytoestrogens, and that'll help. So you can tell people, look, when you're having these PMS or these monthly issues, what are you consuming? Girlfriend, really? And I have to tell my boys this all the time. Okay, dude, you've heard me talk about this over and over again. Get rid of that soda. And they're like, yeah, I know. I'm like, you like the symptoms? Okay, but we're going to talk about why it's hard to control that. This is not just a matter of willpower. It is a real addiction. And I personally experienced it, and I'm assuming you guys have experienced it as well. Right? But we're going to talk about that next week. This week, we're going to just continue on about hormones, the Clary Calm is a blend specifically designed for women, women's hormones, for the amount of different hormones that women need. And I found, and you might find it differently, but I experienced it myself, that those who are younger than 50 tend to be drawn to Clary Calm. This is a blend that seems to support those younger hormonal balances. Okay, so clary sage, lavender, bergamot, Roman chamomile, cedarwood, ylang-ylang. These are all really great hormonal balancing, and so this one blend is very, very helpful to give to your young women. Did you know that poor girls, because of all the synthetic hormones that are put into meat and products today, that we have girls who are now having their periods at the age of 9 years
Nine.
old?
Yes.
There was a 10-year-old who got pregnant from molestation.
Yep.
Now, number one, that should have never happened in the first place. But number two, holy cow, can you imagine being reproductive at the age of 10, a child? That has everything to do with these xenoestrogens that are stimulating our young girls. It is super sad. So we need to give them Clary Calm. We need to help them clean up their diets. We need to get them. Now, Whisper is a blend for the next section. When those of us who are moved into hormonal or menopause, and to help protect our body systems and bones. So you check them out, see which one you like the best, and let me know. If you're over 50, let me know if you like which one you like. But when I got started in doTERRA and I smelled Whisper, I really thought it was like the worst thing ever. I could not stand the smell of it. And somebody told me that, hey, when you turn 50, it's going to smell different. I'm like, yeah, whatever. They were right. I'm like, oh my goodness, now I like Whisper. I like Clary Calm too, but I'm like really drawn to Whisper because my body is doing different things now, right?
Yep.
So just because we don't necessarily like a smell doesn't necessarily mean it's not good for us. It just means maybe not right now, or you might have to find out what the benefits are. So just a little tip on that. Okay, we're running out of time, so let's just really skip through some of these. Grapefruit, great, just like lemon oil to help break down those xenoestrogens. Pregnancy and postpartum, there's lots of oils that can benefit with that. We'll have to talk about those in another class, but Stephanie Fritz, F-R-I-T-Z, she's known as the Essential Midwife. If you want to learn more about pregnancy, she's been doing this for years and years with doTERRA products and has had some great success. We cannot talk enough about a healthy lifestyle. We talk about this all the time, making sure that we're doing our best to eat right, exercise, manage our stress, and reduce our toxic load. It's part of the doTERRA lifestyle ladder. And the foundation of that is the Lifelong Vitality System. If you're not on this yet, I highly recommend you do, because there is a 30-day money-back guarantee for the first time. And it has made all the difference for me.
Me too.
Me too.
And my husband.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still hot. It just comes in flashes now.
Cute.
All right. If you have any
Can you
questions,
let
feel
me
free
look
to
at
reach
that?
out to the person who invited you to this video, or you can text me at 602-603-0224. Again, my name is Holly, 602-603-0224, and we will connect you with the person who showed you this video.
Can I see that lifelong vitality slide for a minute?